The regular season is now officially underway. And as you can see, some of those recruits that we have been showing interest in, they have us ranked pretty high on their interest list first. A few has a second, a few has a third. You can see none of our attributes have really changed: playing style, championship contender, conference prestige, etc., so on and so forth. But I fully anticipate, depending on how the season plays out early on, we should be able to move the needle on some of those things. Now, let's go ahead and check out some of these top stories. Week 1, you got, or some of the week 0 opponents you have is Penn State, ranked number 7, facing off against Temple. Then you have a lopsided matchup between Arizona State and UNLV. And then you also have a lopsided matchup between Utah and Wyoming. So let's go ahead and get into this recruiting and scouting. We have 400 hours to work with this week, so we have to use those hours diligently. So we'll go ahead and we got some of his scouting unlocked already. So we see what we need to see from some of these guys. This is where we go back to the decision on whether or not we're going to actually scout, or if we're going to actually just start using those hours to get out ahead of some of these other teams as far as recruiting wise, and then come back later on and start using that the scouting tool. So let's see, we got McCauley. We've scouted him already, and he's one of the guys that has us leading at first, and we don't really fear too much because the team behind us in second, they have a bronze tier badge as well. So we're in good position with a lot of these guys, except for Soto. We're not in a good position for. Joe Turk, we'll DM him. We're not showing a ton of interest in him right now. Let's see, Devin James, we're first for him. Let's see, we don't have any scouting on him. Let's see what we can unlock. Carrying 79. Acceleration 89, speed 88. Okay, that ain't that bad. But then again, you see how many hours it took for us to unlock that. So we'll contact friends and family on him. Gene, let's see if we can get lucky. There we go, 89 and 90. See, if that could happen every time like that, I'd run through and do scouting without question. Now we can roll with that for Gene. We'll go ahead and contact friends and family for him as well. Let's see. Matter of fact, send the house. Why not? Send the house instead of contacting friends and family. We'll go ahead and send the house for Moon as well. Oh, yeah, we got a deal breaker for Souls, whatever it is. But 91 speed, 89 acceleration. Wow. We'll go ahead and send the house for him. I know I mentioned that I don't want anybody on the team with that name, but I mean, he's got speed and acceleration. And that's what we're looking for on this team. So Ruffin, let's see. Damn, we already out the gate. We don't have a lot of hours left to play with. So let's see. That's the scouting though. The scouting will do it to you. If you got to invest too many hours into scouting, then those hours will go quick. I could imagine this is a lot easier for guys who decide they want to rebuild with top tier prestige universities and end up with like 900 or 1,000 hours to recruit with. But when you only have 400 to 500, this is a never-ending struggle right here until you get your team built up where you want to have them built up at. And at this point, we really don't even have time to go through and actually scout guys. So we're just going through and we're spending these hours on certain aspects like DMing the player, contacting friends and family, so on and so forth. So we can go ahead and get these hours used up and spread it out with as many players as possible. So DMing the player, that's going to be it for this week for our hours. So our task as far as recruiting is concerned is done. And now it's time to, you know what? I do need to check our depth chart out and see where everybody is at on the depth chart. Make sure we got the right pieces in place before we get ready to advance to the following week, which should be against Ohio State, the big, massive matchup against Ohio State. So let's see. Hicks. Now, I got a running back that's faster than Hicks right there. But Hicks is a much higher overall. crap. What do? You know, you have a 75 overall, then you have 65. I'm probably gonna go ahead and keep Woodside there for that speed, that little bit of edge as far as speed is concerned. Fullback. Let's see. Wide receiver. We're pretty good here. I do want Brantley. I was about to say Bradley. I do want Brantley a little bit higher on the depth chart here. So let's see. We'll move him to 4th. He'll be the 4th receiver on the list. But so far, so good. I like what we got between Bowie, Brown, Stevens, so on and so forth. Arnold is good there. Tackles. Let's see. This is what we need to be looking at. So we good at tackle. Guard. Looks like we're good there. 75, 70, and then 66. And look, that's Dragos. That is a starter right there. He's one of our original recruits. One of the first players that we brought in one of the first players we brought in of our first draft. I was about to say draft class. I can't even get my words together right now. One of the first players we brought in our recruiting class. One of the first recruiting classes we had. And sophomore year, and he's already in there. So let's see. Right guard. Center. We got our center is pretty lined up. We're pretty stacked right there for our centers. Let's see, right guard. We're positioned pretty well for our right guard. Right tackle. Everything looks good there. Kevin Terry. I think he's starting, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's starting. So we're pretty good at right tackle as well. Nobody else that we can interchange there. So Joellis Walls, nobody's overtaking him, so he's good in his spot. But I could possibly use a backup with better speed. We'll see later on. And Kobe Smith, he's good at his spot. Right edge. Defensive tackle, we solid there. Sam linebacker, Nylan Brown, he's not being moved. Even though we do have a guy with better speed behind him, we're not moving him because he's a playmaker. So Jalen Walker, he's starting at Mike. Corners look solid. Butler making that huge jump from safety to cornerback. I can't wait to see how that pans out if that ends up being huge for us this season. So kicker, punter, nah, we're all good. Everything seems to be good. We've only had to make a few minor adjustments as far as the depth chart is concerned, but everything looks pretty good. We want to go, let's see, kickoff returner. I do want to make sure I got some of my fastest players on a kickoff return. Kylan Brantley, I'll probably put him back there because I want him touching the ball as much as possible. Pause. So might put Brantley in there. Yeah, we could put Brantley. Who else has a little bit of speed on the squad right quick? Minnick. I'm not going to put a safety back there. There we go. So Harris and Brantley. There we go. Well, yeah, there we go. All right, so slot receiver, who we got at slot? We got Dontrell Bennett. Don't really want to move Bennett because Bennett has been a key cog in the system since this dynasty has began. So probably go ahead and leave Bennett alone. Let's see. But I do want to get Brantley some action, but he's only a point higher in speed over Dontrell Bennett. So we'll leave Bennett for now, but if Brantley seems to start having a breakout season, we'll go ahead and roll with Brantley going forward. But as for now, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, if you're here for the first time or you're returning and you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more of this Kent State rebuild, as well as other college football 26 content. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time.